Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Queen of Web channel where we break tech down beautifully for beginners like you. You see, in our last lesson, we mastered Flexbox for aligning items in one direction, like either it is on a row or on a column. Today, we are stepping up by learning CSS Grid, which lets you build two-dimensional layout both rows and columns. How do you want your uh, website to look like? Okay, so this means you can design full web pages, dashboards, and photo galleries with ease. Okay, before we dive in, do me a quick favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not done that before, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out our upcoming videos in this web series. All right, let's keep growing together. First of all, what is CSS Grid? CSS Grid is a layout. It's a layout system that allows you to create complex web designs with rows and columns. It is different from Flexbox, which only works in one direction at a time. Okay, so for Flexbox, you can create your layout on a row, and that's what Flexbox will do for you, or you create your layout on a column. So if you want to create both layout of row, column, and all of that using Flexbox, then you will need to declare a lot of Flexbox inside different containers. All right. So let me show you how easy this one is. So now I have created two files, index.html and style.css. So I've given it a title of CSS Grid. Then let me link my CSS with the HTML. So I've done that, and also I have opened my web page using the live server. All right. So now first thing is to create some div. So the very first div I'll be creating, I'm going to give it a class name of grid container. And inside this one, we are going to have many other divs, and then I'm going to give them the same class name of grid item. So grid item inside grid container, okay. And then let me just give this number 1. But this is just telling you that you can. Okay, so now that we have it, let's quickly go to our CSS. That is where the main work actually is. Let me first style my grid container. That is what is holding all of them. And then inside grid container, I want to give it. So if you want to have, just like inside a flex container, you're going to declare a display and say flex. So for this one, you're going to declare a display, and then you choose grid. And then you choose grid. When you choose grid, these are one of the properties that you can use to activate your grid properly. I want to say, okay, before I come to this, let me quickly style my grid item so that at least we will see the changes very well. So I want to give my grid item background color, any background color, but let me just use this one. And then I would give them a color of white to be obvious. We'll say, let me provide a padding. Let me choose 40 pixel. Okay, and then let me give a font size. Let me increase that. Let's say 10 pixel for it to be bigger. Then let me say text align center. So we have this now, and then everything is being everything is being stuck together. They don't have space between them. All right, so now to have what we want, let's go back to grid. Okay, so now having this having declared display grid, the next thing you can do is your grid template. So for this case now, I want to say grid template columns. You can have both grid template columns, grid template rows, or grid template areas and all of that. So grid template columns, declare it how you want them to be in columns. Why grid template rows declare how many rows do you want, just like that of columns. So if you give this one three values, it means it's going to have three columns. It means it's going to have three columns. But if you give it two values, it's going to have two columns. I'm going to show you all of that. These grid template areas declare both columns and rows together. So we are going to learn all of that today in this video, inshallah. So we are choosing this, and then there are different ways in which you can declare all your values, but the common one is using FR, which is like a kind of, you are asking them to share the same free space. If I say one FR, you're going to get what I'm saying soon. 2FR, so they are going to divide into two now. I've given them two values, so they're going to divide into two columns now. So, and I had another one, then we're going to be in three columns, column 1, 2, and 3. Let's say I want one of these columns to take larger portion, so I can just say 2FR for this. So can you see that? So it's going to shift others to this place and take two portion. So this is how it works. If I have this like this 2FR, it means it's going to, you had 2 plus 1 plus 1, that gives us 4. So the whole space will be divided into 4. And then this one that takes 2FR will take two two parts, two portions. This one will take just one portion, and this one will take just one portion, just like that. If I give this one also 2, then it's going to divide the whole portion into 5. This part, the first column will take 2 portions, the second column will also take 2, and the last column will take 1, just like so. Okay, if I add one portion to this now, let's say I make it 4, so we are going to have 4 columns with just 2, since we have only 6 items. So that is how it works. It's going to give us both columns and rows at a time. All right. Okay, so having done this, the next thing I would like to give them is gap, so that we can easily differentiate each item. So for this, I'm going to give it 20 pixel, and then you have them being separated this way. Beautiful, right? Yeah. So the explanation I was giving you before, if I do that now, you're going to get it better. And then you see this taking times 2 of the other items portions. That is just what we are talking about. So I've given it, okay, for this one too, let me give it a padding. So what, in summary, what we just have here is that display grid turns the container into a grid layout. Grid template columns. This one FR, one FR, one FR creates 3 equal columns. Then the gaps, it has 20 pixels spacing between all items. Then the padding. Before we move forward to practical aspects, let's look at grid versus flexbox. What are the differences between them? First thing you need to know that in terms of direction, flexbox work with one direction, either a row or a column. But for grid, it works with both. You can see by just declaring grid and giving it this, we already have a row and we have column. Yeah, just like that. Also, what are they best for? Flex item is best for aligning items. So like your navigation links, your sidebar and all of that. So you want to align item inside one container, use Flexbox. But let's say you want to talk about the whole full layout of your web page or something, then you use Grid for that. Okay, then in terms of control, Flexbox is item focused. Mostly you apply the control inside Flex item. But when we are talking of grid, most of the controls come inside the container itself. So it is container focused. So use Flexbox when you are placing items in a row or column, or and then use grid when you are building the entire structure of a page. That's how it works. Inshallah, next video will be on how to use the two of them together on a web page. Now, let's build a simple layout with header, sidebar, content, footer using grid. I have taught you all of these, that I have taught you what a sidebar is in one of our previous videos, what a header is, footer, and what should we expect in our main content and all of that. Okay, so let's go back to our HTML. So the very first Ds of our HTML, I want to change this to a layout now. Okay, so I'm giving this a layout, then other ones I'm going to use their exact name to declare them. So header should be called header and not just. So I have header, I'm going to give it header as name. After header, sidebar, and sidebar is going to be inside an element known as aside. Okay, also I can have main. Yeah, so I'm going to call this main content. Then the last one, let's say footer. So we have all of this now on our web page. So let's go to the CSS to start styling them. So first of all, I want to remove all of this so as not to confuse us and start from scratch. So remember that I put everything inside a class name of layout. So first thing I think you guessed right, is that we declare a display and we give it a value of grid. Then another thing is now we don't want to use grid template columns or all of that because we are dealing. So my intention now on this web page is our header will be on top here, right? Our sidebar would be beside the main content but not taking as much as the main content. Then our footer will be below. That is what I want to achieve. All right. So in this case, I cannot just say I don't just want to use grid template column. So I want to use grid template areas. And then this is where you need to pay a lot of attention for grid templates. So now, grid template area. So I want to tell it what do I want to see up. So now, as I've explained to you, you know that header will be the only one filling this up. Then next, I will have two things, main and sidebar. So sidebar will take a smaller portion from the main, meaning that I will have two items there on a row. So because I'm going to have two items on a row and the other one footer, that is just it. So I'm going to be declaring them 2, 2 now. So by saying, I will just say header, then space header. So this is telling us that everything here up here will be for header. So header will maintain the two. While the other, when we come to the next one, we're going to have sidebar and then main. So for this one, sidebar will take one part, main will take the other part. Okay. And then for the last one, we are going to have footer. So now we can see the logic here. It means that we are declaring all this 1, 2, 2 just because we have a row whereby two things are needed there. If it is that we don't need a sidebar at all, we will just say header, main and footer. In fact, you can just use grid template rows or columns to declare that one. But because we want two things here, that is why we are declaring everything 2, 2 now. So header means header you are still the one taking everything. So you take all the bread that is at the top, okay? But the one at the middle, I'm dividing into two for two of your sisters. Then for the one last, I'm going to give it everything to your sister. I don't know if you get the logic now, but it's still not going to make sense now. So now for sidebar and main, not to maintain the same portion, so I'm going to declare grid template columns now. And then which one did I declare first? Let's see, it's sidebar. So I want sidebar to only take 1 FR, while main should take 3 FR. So that is what this is saying now. So when the whole web page is divided into 4 good columns, sidebar should take just 1 column and main content should take 3 other columns. Why those ones on top of them will take all the 4 columns, and the footer too will take the 4 columns. So let's move on. I'm going to give them space by declaring gap. Let's say 15 pixel or 20 pixel. It depends. And then padding. 20 pixel. Yeah, so it is still not following the instruction here now, because all these things are not automatically related to the name they use on HTML. No. So before they can understand this, I need to declare it and say, okay, our header in HTML is equal to this. That is what's going to happen. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is that I want to style all these things, give them background color and all of that. I can give them the same thing to save time. Our header, our aside, that's the name of the element, because I did not give them class name. Header, aside, main, then footer. So I want to give them background color. Okay, then I'm going to give them color of white. Yeah, then I'm going to give them padding 20 pixel. Also, I am going to say what other, okay, let me just text align center. Okay, so we have this now, and that differentiates all of them the way we want to see them. Okay, but this is not what we want to achieve. So to actually achieve that, then we move to the next page, which is that, okay, we want to declare our header again. So, and I want to say for my header, I will say grid area. So which grid area do I want this to take? You know, I have declared a pattern here. So this is telling you that it's not necessarily I use this header. I can just say 1, and this place I will say 2, and this one 3, and this one I can just say 4, something like that. Any name you like, you can use it to declare how you want your page to look like here. But I just use related name. Professionally, we use related name so that at least you can just know that, okay, this is my header, this is my sidebar, and all of. So let's go back, and I will just tell this one, okay, the grid area you are taking is that of header, and then immediately it's going to take the whole portion of all. So now, so the next one is my aside. So aside cannot take header. I am giving it sidebar, and then immediately it is going to take the little portion I've assigned to it. Okay, while this one is main. So this one main will jump and maintain the whole content because of what I have here until I change it to main. By the time I change this value to main, so it's going to stay beside sidebar. Then the footer, so I can just change this, and then it's going to take the whole part like that. Can you just see that? So this is our web page layout. This for header, and this for sidebar, main content, and this for this. Okay, aside from all of this, to make it more meaningful, so I can add other attributes to it, like our sidebar, I can give it high and say 100 view age. So the same thing with main, they are together, and I will say 100, or no, let me use 80 because of the footer, so that we can see the footer to view it, and this one to 80 and the footer. So now you can see what you have on the web page, right? So this is telling, this is beautiful, this is our header, this is what where the sidebar will be, and this is main content, and this is our footer right here. Yeah, so we use grid template areas to visually define the layout. So we use the grid template columns 1FR, 3FR to make the sidebar smaller than the main content. Each tag is placed in its grid area. So all these tags that we provided here are then used accordingly in their grid area under each element. So you can see how neat and clean that layout. So CSS Grid gives you total control of your whole web page, and not just a direction now. And that is your intro into CSS Grid. So far, we have covered how Grid works, how it is different from Flexbox, and how to build a simple layout step by step. Right? Don't just watch, try it yourself, tweak the columns, change the layout, break it, and rebuild it. See what you can achieve. All right, and that is how you truly learn, by practicing. Click like if this helped you, subscribe to support this channel, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next layout challenge. All right, if you have questions or want me to teach responsive CSS grid or grid plus flexbox combo layout, let me know in the comment. Inshallah, we are going to put that in, we are going to plan that with the subsequent content, inshallah. So until next time, remember, keep coding, keep learning, and never give up. Success is written by Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.